So the Super Mario Maker 2 Direct has come and gone, and even though we've already made a ton of videos about it, we're still not done, as we still have at least a few analysis videos to get through. And for whatever reason, the analysis machine wanted to start off with story mode. So story mode it is. Hey, you don't argue with the analysis machine, okay? So let's stop wasting time and see what secret Super Mario Maker 2 story mode might be hiding. And as part of that, you might be wondering, how much can there really be to this? Didn't the Direct pretty much lay it all out there? After all, we do know that there's over 100 Nintendo crafted courses as part of story mode, and you'll have to play through them in order to earn enough money to rebuild Peach's castle. Yep, them's the basics. But there are still some pretty interesting details that I left out. Now, featuring levels pre-built by Nintendo themselves is nothing new to Super Mario Maker. The Wii U one had 68 of them called sample courses, and the 3DS one had an even 100 in its challenge mode. But it seems as if Super Mario Maker 2 is setting its sights just a little bit higher, by branding it as a proper story mode, which would imply that, you know, there's an actual story to go along with it. Or at least as much as one as you'd expect in a 2D Mario game. So let's talk about the story for a moment. What exactly is going on here? Well, starting out, things look pretty dire. Chief Toadette looks to be beside herself, letting out a frustrated ugh, and only elaborates that she can't believe what happened to Peach's castle, and that they have to rebuild it. Whereas the Taskmaster Toad looks despondent, just staring at well, nothing. There's literally nothing of Peach's castle left, not even a trace, which suggests it wasn't exactly destroyed, at least conventionally. It's almost as if it's been erased. That's right, Mr. Eraser, you're our prime suspect. And by the way, what happened to Peach in all of this? Did she disappear along with the castle? If she did, these Toads have some seriously messed up priorities if rebuilding the castle is the first thing on their agenda. In any case, the fact that the castle's being rebuilt at all seems to suggest that the original one ain't coming back. So I ask again, what exactly happened here? Well, the Taskmaster might actually give some insight into the whole ordeal. Maybe. Because he mumbles, "This is why I'm a cat person," before trailing off. Huh. A cat. What a curious thing to say in a game where cats are a pretty big new addition, what between the Cat Bell power-up and Meowser. And of course, who hasn't suspected that Meowser is probably behind it all? You know, like he always is? Except, unless that Toad's being sarcastic, his statement seems to be implying the opposite, that it wasn't a cat, which is why he's a cat person, because they would never do this. So I guess Meowser's off the hook. Especially because when someone says they're a cat person, what they're really saying is that they're not a dog person. So could there be a dog character who's behind it all? Hey, wait a second, that Undo Dog is right there. And if he were truly on your side, couldn't he just undo the whole thing and bring the castle right back? Who exactly are you working for, Undo Dog? Is it Mr. Eraser? Man, what a plot twist that would be if those two are in cahoots. Okay, so seriously, this story is still a giant mystery, but the few details we know so far really does make you think. At any rate, your primary concern for now is rebuilding the castle to its former glory, which is actually pretty fitting for a game that's all about making things from scratch. And Chief Toadette has the blueprints for doing just that, which she's affixed to the board behind her using pink pins that matches her own color. If we zoom in, we can see the plans in detail, revealing a drawing of the castle in what appears to be its final form. There are even notes and arrows scribbled on the plans, lending an authentic touch. But in order to actually build the castle, you're going to need some cash, which you earn by taking on jobs in the form of pre-built Mario Maker levels, which are issued either by the Taskmaster or from other characters later on, like the Undo Dog. But when you're first starting off, it seems as if the Taskmaster might be your only option, and he'll offer you up jobs from various clients, most of whom, apparently, want to remain anonymous. How strange! Now, even though his bulletin board is jam-packed with jobs, affixed to it of course with red pins that match his own red spots, he'll only offer up a single job at the start, titled a downhill battle. Which, yeah, about sums it up. As the first level in the game, it aims to teach the basics of slopes, with arrows encouraging you to press down in order to slide down the hill and lay waste to the enemies climbing it. And the stage concludes with another arrow, this time showing the optimal place to leap from in order to reach the top of the flagpole. Now unfortunately, this is all we see at the job screen in the English version of the Direct. However, the Japanese version reveals a bit more, as when you select a course, it pops up a second screen of the more detailed job description. In this case, it roughly translates to, "I made a course of many Goombas and I prepared a reward. Please reach the goal. Tip, slide and hit the Goombas." On top of this, we can even see the handle who posted the job opening, which in this case roughly translates to a Goomba-loving middle-aged guy. Yeah, no wonder he wants to stay anonymous. Anyways, as the first course in the game, it's appropriately numbered 1, has a difficulty rating of 1 out of 4 stars, and will net you 100 coins for reaching the goal. But it seems as if you can earn even more coins than just a posted reward, because on the results screen, it seems to add the coins collected within the level itself to the reward amount. Nice! This gives collecting coins an actual purpose. Now, even though there may only be a single job to start with, an image from Mario Maker 2's official Japanese website reveals the next 3 in line as well, which presumably becomes available shortly after beating the first stage, as is now marked with a flag icon, as well as after building the castle's foundation, as we can see it in the background. Now, the newer jobs have a red exclamation mark next to them, indicating that they're still available, whereas the first level's entire box has now been grayed out, indicating the challenges can't be replayed solely to earn more cash, although we're sure that you can still replay them for fun. Now, even though we only see 4 jobs listed here, there's clearly room for at least 6 per page, and the counter up here indicates that there will be multiple pages as well. Furthermore, it seems that the amount each job pays out might be tied to how difficult it is, as levels 1, 2, and 3, which are all rated at 1 on the difficulty scale, award 100 coins each, while level 4, which is difficulty level 2, awards 150 coins. And if we skip ahead and check out the Undo Dog's job, his is difficulty level 3 and awards 200 coins. So, did you catch the pattern there? The reward went up by 50 coins with every increase in difficulty level, meaning a full 4-star difficulty level probably awards 250 coins. Okay, now while the first level is mostly a known quantity, we can roughly translate the other 3 level titles as a hint as to what they may offer. So level 2 is roughly called Use the On-Off Switch, which might be either one of these 2 levels shown during this segment of the Direct, which both featured that switch. Next up, the translation for level 3 is already done for us, being called Hello 3D World, which we're going to go out on a limb and say is probably a level in the 3D World style, although unfortunately there aren't any clips of that style in this segment. And finally, level 4 is titled something along the lines of The Sun in the Desert, which we're guessing involves the angry sun in some way. No wonder that level's harder than the others. Beyond these 4 levels, the Direct also showed off some gameplay of a few others as well, but there really isn't a whole lot to say about them besides the fact that some stages have live counters, whereas others do not. At any rate, once you've earned some cash, it's time to get building. And step 1 is to pay for the castle's foundation at the cost of 100 coins. After doing so, the 3 construction toads waiting around here will get right to work on a pile of materials each, being made up of bricks and paint cans that matches their own color. Who knew that toads were so obsessed with color coordination? Unfortunately, the toads won't make much progress before another message pops up, this time in the form of 2 hammers? What the heck does that mean? Could it be a timer of sorts showing how much progress the toads have made before the task is completed? Or maybe it correlates to a hammer collectible that you have to find before they can complete the task? Could they have anything to do with the hammer power-up that the Japanese Direct revealed? We really don't know. Yeah, there are a lot of questions here. In any case, a meter in the top left corner shows how far along the castle's construction is. And apparently these brick and paint piles don't even register. However, we do see the castle in a couple more complete states throughout this segment. First at 21%, in which it features 2 stories and a pair of towers, although the left one's entranceways are boarded up, likely owing to the lack of a 3rd floor. Oh, and the red and blue toads are now hanging around up here too, but they're looking rather dispirited, with the red toad evidently pondering his future, and the blue toad looking, well, blue. Now if we back up the footage, we can just barely see an exclamation or a question mark above the red toad's head, indicating he has something to say. And sure enough, when Mario checks in with him, he needs your help. But what that is exactly, who knows? Maybe it involves that missing 3rd floor? Now if we only go by the meter, we can see it reach a high of 26% in the English Direct and 27% in the Japanese one. But did you spot the difference between the 2? The castle icon turned pink in the Japanese footage, and it's the only time it appears of that color. Now it is possible that this signifies some kind of change with the castle itself, like its color. But since the font size also grew too, we're inclined to think it's actually from a different build of the game. We're just not sure which one the newer one might be. Moving on, even though there's no meter on screen, we actually do see the castle in what appears to be its complete form at the very start of the segment. And we're guessing this is the cutscene that plays after you fully build it. As you can see, the castle now has a finished 3rd floor with a new bedroom tower, and the doorways leading up to it are no longer barred. Even the ground floor has gained some new cosmetic touches, with flowers that now fill the vases and line the balcony. It all matches Toadette's blueprints perfectly, even if it doesn't exactly match the look of Peach's castle in any one Mario game. But hey, that's nothing new. But hold up! there's still something missing. There's an empty spot where the stained glass window of Peach usually goes. Huh, so it seems Mario may not be done quite yet. I blame that yellow toad there sleeping on the job. Who does he think he is? Well, no matter who he is, it's actually a callback to the sleepy yellow toad from Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, as well as Super Mario Galaxy before it. Those silly yellow toads. In fact, we're reasonably confident that Mario's nowhere close to being done, because besides the castle, there isn't a whole lot else going on here. Which is a little odd when you remember that there were 3 piles of bricks that made up the foundation. While the red ones in the middle obviously became the castle, what happened to the green and blue piles? Well, our guess is that they're still there, but that they're cut off by the zoomed in camera. And we're pretty confident that they can be turned into something, because in the clip featuring the Undo Dog, we can see a tower-like structure behind him. And it features what appears to be an entrance with green trim, which is a color that's nowhere to be found on the castle itself. So yeah, this is probably what becomes of the green brick pile, which would mean it's located just left of the castle. We're just not sure whether it's a freestanding structure, or if it physically connects to the castle in some way. In either case, we expect something similar to the blue pile of bricks on the other side too. Now if each structure is indeed built independently, then it would stand to reason that they would each have their own set of blueprints too, right? Well, sure enough, Toadette actually has 3 extra sets of blueprints lying on the ground next to her. But if one of them's for the green stack of bricks and the other for blue, what's the last one for? Well, that might just be where the sleeping yellow toad comes into play, as we haven't seen any sign of yellow bricks yet, so that might just be the final construction project. Now here's something else we haven't discussed yet. How exactly do you control Mario here? I mean, does he just move point to point like in a world map? He does seem to move just a little too precisely after all. But there are some inconsistencies between the English and Japanese directs that reveal the truth. Because in every scene in which Mario talks to a character, his placement changes depending on whether it's the English direct or the Japanese one. And not just side to side, but depth-wise too. Which only makes sense if the player has complete 3D control over Mario. So it's a little ironic that you have full 3D control in a portion of the game that's otherwise all about 2D gameplay. It actually reminds us a bit of Sonic Jam's pretty sweet 3D hub-based menu. So going with this line of thought, the raised grass here looks as if it may act as a boundary, restricting Mario's movement to the path itself. This would explain why everything of note is either directly on the path or adjacent to it, such as this warp pipe covered in bricks. And speaking of which, it seems as if you'll have to help out various other characters time to time too, such as Mr. Eraser, who offers to erase those very bricks covering the warp pipe. Seriously, how is no one suspecting this guy of the castle's disappearance? And also, where the heck did that warp pipe go anyway? There's also a second stack of bricks on the right, which appear to be blocking the path. So the question is, can you erase those too? Or are they there simply to keep you from going any farther? In any case, this likely indicates that this area can be found to the right of the castle. Also, real quick, aren't those bricks a little retro looking? As if they were ripped right out of the original Super Mario Bros? Is it just a cute detail, or does it hint at something deeper? Another character you'll interact with is the Undo Dog, which we've already mentioned before. But this scene does demonstrate that you'll occasionally have dialogue choices to make, which might lend the story mode a slightly grander feel. Now both of the aforementioned characters, as you probably know, are part of Super Mario Maker 2's interface, specifically the right side of it. But there's a third character from that side that we haven't seen in story mode yet. That's right, the Course Bot, who's responsible for saving your stages. So we can't help but wonder if he might make an appearance in story mode too. Perhaps in the form of the humanoid robot floating around in the background of the online section? And if he does, maybe he'll be responsible for saving the day? Get it? Okay, we're almost done here, but there are still a few final details I wanted to point out. Such as how the Toad's heads follow Mario as he moves. Or Toadette's cute idle animation, where she puts her hands up to her face. And did you catch that when Mario opens the front door, the handles fly outward too? Yeah, it's the small touches. And then there's something odd in this scene, where some kind of icon or prompt pops up in the top right corner, but it's obscured by the direct's overlay, so it's impossible to tell what it's for. And finally, we've already pointed out the differences between some scenes in the English and Japanese versions of the Direct, but the one featuring Mr. Eraser here has some pretty profound differences, even beyond the pink castle icon we already touched on, such as how the grass texture changes, the tree's height here is adjusted, and even the hill in the background changes shape. Again, it likely suggests that 2 different builds of the game were used to grab footage. Or does it perhaps mean that Mr. Eraser here is up to no good? Yeah, I don't trust you at all, buddy. And with that, we're finally done covering everything we could dig up on Super Mario Maker 2's story mode. But as usual, let us know if we missed anything by posting in the comments below. And with that, thanks for watching, and make sure to click the subscribe button for more on Super Mario Maker 2 and everything else Nintendo Switch as well. We'll catch you later. Bye.